Montreal Canadiens trade rumors are making me laugh because today we are diving into some guys on the New Jersey Devils that supposedly the Montreal Canadiens are either into or guys that the Montreal Canadiens, maybe in the eyes of some writers, should be into. Can we see a Canadiens trade for either Nico Hischier or Jacob Markstrom of the New Jersey Devils? We've got some articles to dive into, courtesy of Dans les Coulisses and the Hockey News. It's all coming up in this video, but let's talk first about the situation that both of these players face. Nico Hischier is 27 years old, 6'1", 201. He is the captain of the New Jersey Devils, and his contract expires at the end of 26-27. He's making $7.25 million a year, and he is not eligible to sign an extension until July 1st of this year. There have already been conversations as to whether or not Nico Hischier would be interested in sticking around in New Jersey, and what the dollar amount is that he's going to ask for. Sure, Nico Hischier's a good player. I mean, he's a Selke-nominated 80-point guy in his prime. He had 66 points in 82 games this most previous season, but the Devils weren't really all too great, admittedly. Hischier is a consistent 60 to 70 to maybe even 80-point guy if he has a good season. He's a two-way responsible center, and reports are suggesting he could get something in the $13 million range, which would go so far to establish just the market that we are in 2026 and beyond. Will Hischier be interested in staying in New Jersey? Will the Devils be interested in paying up what it is he's reportedly asking for? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Jacob Markstrom is 36 years old. His contract goes on till 2028. If you haven't already noticed, Markstrom will be 38 by the time that contract expires. He's making $6 million a year, and he's coming off of a season where he posted up a whopping .883 save percentage in 44 games. He also had that absolutely ridiculous 9 goals against game that put him on the map as one of the worst goalies of the year. 9-0 shutout loss to the New York Islanders. Get this guy in a gosh darn McDonald's already, man. But Jacob Markstrom has been tossed into trade rumor talk because supposedly, maybe, the New Jersey Devils are interested in moving on. Take a look at this article posted by Matthias Therrien from, when was this? 2 days ago? 3 days ago on DonListCoulisses.com. It talks about how Jacob Markstrom is on the market. The Devils are looking to sell, much to the delight of the Montreal Canadiens. The article talks about how the Stanley Cup Finals are wrapping up and it's going to open the door for big trade rumors and trade discussions. You have New Jersey Devils goalie Jacob Markstrom, who is supposedly in a spot where the Devils are gauging interest on him. That was tweeted out by Kevin Weeks earlier on the 13th. The article then goes out there and says this is quite surprising news, given the Devils signed Markstrom to a 2-year contract extension, which will begin next year. The 36-year-old goaltender will earn $6 million per year for the next 2 seasons. Obviously, this extension was signed at the beginning of 25-26, before the Devils had their difficult 25-26 year, which explains the potential turnaround. Markstrom has not been exceptional this year, and therefore the Devils are looking to test their options in this case, especially considering that he is 36 years old. It's interesting for the Montreal Canadiens to see the Devils sell some of their players, not for Markstrom, but for Nico Hischier. We know the Canadiens are looking for a second-line center, and according to some rumors, Hischier could be available. The situation therefore remains very interesting, as the Devils captain represents the best option for Kent Hughes and his team. This remains to be seen, but seeing the Devils test a market for a number 1 goalie bodes well for the future. Kent Hughes really needs to stay alert and make sure he doesn't miss a great opportunity. So that's a great article, isn't it? It talks about how Jacob Markstrom's on the market and how this could be helpful for the Montreal Canadiens, but really they're going in a roundabout way to say that, hey, Jacob Markstrom's on the market. That means New Jersey is interested in selling. That means Nico Hischier could be on the market too, right? Let's be real. I don't think anybody in Montreal or in New Jersey or otherwise thought that Jacob Markstrom would be a realistic trade target for the Montreal Canadiens unless you were going out there and fully hoping that he bounces back and gets back to .922 save percentage form. Form that he was able to accomplish, by the way, when he was 32 years old, 4 years ago. Now, I guess you could also say, hey, Markstrom in the 2025 playoffs was also pretty good. .911 save percentage, 5 games played, but he lost 4 of them. That's not bad. And to be fair, I do think Jacob Markstrom holistically is better than the .883 save percentage he was able to put up as a member of the Devils. In fact, his .936 with Sweden at the Olympics goes to show that he does have a lot left in the tank still. But ultimately, Jacob Markstrom, even if he was a Montreal Canadiens target, you wouldn't necessarily be dethroning a Fowler or a Dobesh to give Markstrom all the starts. You would probably want to roll with a 3-goalie formation. Just give Markstrom the Montembeault spot in the lineup. If he's good enough to play, you have him in there as sort of a alleviation tool, you can say, to get some of the load off of Fowler and Dobesh. And if you need the third guy to step in, Marky can be there. I would also stand to argue that playing in front of a better defense core like Montreal would potentially boost up his numbers, and giving him more rest could give him a little bit more juice in the tank too. But I digress. The big meat and potatoes when it comes to the Montreal Canadiens is their interest in Devils star center Nico Hischier, which was written about here by Michael DeRosa last week. In a recent article for The Athletic, Pierre LeBrun wrote that the Montreal Canadiens are keeping close tabs on New Jersey Devils center Nico Hischier and his potential availability. The fit is beyond perfect for Montreal if Hischier were actually available. I think the Canadiens would be willing to pay a real price and not mess around in that trade scenario, LeBrun wrote. With the Canadiens needing another star center to play with Nick Suzuki, it makes sense that Hischier is on their radar. He would be an outstanding pickup for their second-line center spot and would make the Canadiens be clear contenders heading into 26-27. Hischier is entering the final year of his contract, so questions about his future have come up. If negotiations between him and the Devils do not go well this summer, he could be made available, and it would make all the sense in the world for the Canadiens to pursue him. In 82 games this year with the Devils, Hischier had 66 points, and then he had 69 points last year in 75 games. So if Pierre LeBrun's going out there and saying that, yeah, Montreal's interested in Nico Hischier, I guess we got no reason to dismiss it as a potential option, right? Kent Hughes knows what he wants. He wants that center down the middle to play behind Nick Suzuki. Sorry, Jake Evans. Sorry, Philippe Deneau. You guys are just not it. What in the world is this pop-up that I got on my screen? Ad block. It's not time for you guys right now. But Nico Hischier is a very solid center. Is he a number one guy? Maybe it depends on the responsibility you give your number one guys. If Nick Suzuki is the absolute bona fide number one center, maybe you could give Nico Hischier a little bit of that responsibility instead, which would open the door to giving Nick Suzuki more manageable defensive responsibility and more offense time. Nico Hischier ain't bad offensively either. As we mentioned, he did have an 80-point season once, but it's kind of hard for him to be the number one guy when you've got Jack Hughes going out there and scoring 3 points a game whenever he is in the lineup at least. It's kind of funny because we all thought that this Swiss connection, Hischier and Meier, would work together so well in New Jersey. The triple threat even with Jonas Siegenthaler over there, but it just hasn't really been all too great. Timo Meier has been somewhat of a disappointment. Nico Hischier stopped producing in the same way that he did once upon a time. I mean, you look at that 2023 season, the second or third season where Hischier was the captain of the Devils, and he was absolutely on fire, still scoring, even though Jack Hughes was a 100-point guy. Everything went right for Devils hockey in 2022, 2023. But unfortunately, if the Devils are going to start entertaining offers on Markstrom, you could probably assume maybe Hischier is on the table as well, assuming they don't end up re-signing him tomorrow, and maybe the Montreal Canadiens could take advantage. Who really knows? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the latest on Jacob Markstrom trade updates with the Devils and a potential Montreal connection to Nico Hischier? How does this make you feel if you're a Devils fan or a Habs fan? Let me know in the comments all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. And Bye.